Before we dive into the high-tech world of the MCU, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dive recaps. Now, let's get into the story of the man who started it all. Tony Stark is the ultimate billionaire prodigy, inheriting the massive defense contractor Stark Industries from his father, the legendary Howard Stark. Tony's brilliance was evident from the start, building circuit boards at 4 and engines at 6 before graduating from MIT at 17. However, following his father's death in a car accident, Tony's moral compass remained largely uncalibrated. While Obadiah Stane managed the company until Tony turned 21, Tony eventually took the reins and unleashed a wave of smart weapons that changed the face of global conflict. We see Tony living a life of consequence-free excess, supported by his assistant Pepper Potts, his bodyguard Happy Hogan, and his sophisticated AI, Jarvis. This life of luxury is challenged by journalist Christine Everhart, who confronts him with evidence that his weapons are arming terrorists to subjugate the defenseless. Tony isn't just a genius, he's an architect of destruction who hasn't yet looked at the blueprints of his own soul. The catalyst for Tony's transformation arrives in war-torn Afghanistan. While demonstrating the Jericho missile to his friend and military liaison, Colonel James Rhodes, Tony is caught in a brutal ambush. In a moment of sharp irony, he is nearly killed by a weapon bearing his own name. He wakes up in a cave, kept alive by an electromagnet powered by a car battery, a device built by fellow captive Yinsen to keep shrapnel from reaching Tony's heart. When the Ten Rings terrorist group led by Raza demands Tony build them a Jericho, Tony chooses to build a future instead. He and Yinsen miniaturize the arc reactor, a clean energy source Tony's father had once theorized, to replace the bulky battery. This new heart is Tony's first step toward redemption. They meticulously forge a crude, ironclad suit of armor, and while Tony manages to escape, Yinsen sacrifices his life to buy him time. This loss is crucial. It teaches Tony that a legacy isn't built on profits, but on the human lives you protect. Returning home, Tony's announcement that Stark Industries will exit the weapons business is a direct challenge to the military-industrial complex. Obadiah Stane, representing the old guard of corporate greed, warns him that this will ruin his father's legacy, but Tony is already obsessed with his next evolution. He retreats to his workshop, refining his armor and his mission. This is where we see the genius inventor archetype pushed to its limit as he moves from the bulky Mark I to the iconic red and gold Mark III. While Pepper saves his original reactor as a memento that Tony Stark has a heart, Tony discovers that Stane has been playing both sides, still supplying the Ten Rings with Jericho missiles. Realizing that corporate policy isn't enough, Tony dons his armor and flies to Afghanistan to save Yinsen's village. This act of personal accountability puts him in the crosshairs of the military, leading to a high-stakes aerial chase with F-22 Raptors, where he is forced to reveal his identity to Rhodes to prevent a tragedy. The internal threat, however, is far more dangerous. It is revealed that Stane not only supplied the terrorists, but actually hired the Ten Rings to kill Tony. Seeking to secure his power, Stane has a new suit, reverse-engineered from Tony's original prototype. When Stane's scientists fail to replicate the miniaturized arc reactor, Stane ambushes Tony at home, paralyzing him and ripping the life-sustaining device from his chest. This leads to a desperate climax where a weakened Tony must rely on his obsolete original reactor to survive. With Pepper and agents from S.H.I.E.L.D., led by Phil Coulson, closing in on Stane, a massive battle erupts atop the Stark Industries building. Tony is outmatched by the raw power of Stane's Ironmonger suit, but he wins through tactical brilliance, instructing Pepper to overload the factory's massive arc reactor. The resulting electrical surge consumes Stane, symbolizing that Tony's vision for a clean future is more powerful than Stane's vision of war. In the aftermath, the press is captivated by the armored hero they've dubbed Iron Man. Though S.H.I.E.L.D. provides Tony with a prepared cover story to maintain a secret identity, Tony's characteristic ego and newfound commitment to transparency prevail. At a packed press conference, he tosses the script aside and declares, I am Iron Man. This moment subverts the typical superhero trope of the secret identity, signaling that Tony Stark is not a man who hides behind a mask. Finally, a post-credits encounter with S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury reveals that Tony has stepped into a much larger world. By shifting Tony from a selfish merchant to a self-sacrificing protector, the film argues that true genius is defined by what you stand for, as Fury officially introduces the Avengers Initiative.